Welcome, everyone. Very exciting day. This is the demo day of the WAC Fellowship of 2024. It's really nice to see the familiar faces, and I would like to ask you to keep your cameras on because I think it helps everyone if we can look at each other and maybe nod in support. When we started working together, it was still winter in Europe, and most of these occasions were happening in the dark, and now it's the summer brightness, which signals how far these participants has come over this cohort. Many of them didn't even have a wallet, or maybe some of them didn't even know what a wallet is, and now they are ready to present their very first prototype of their first blockchain project. There have been many obstacles, challenges, pivots, but even more learnings. And it wasn't only an online course, it was also a community supporting each other, giving feedback and experimenting together. We met every Thursday for 10 weeks, early mornings for those in Argentina, Puerto Rico, Canada, and the United States, and afternoons for us in Germany, Portugal, Denmark, France, and Switzerland. Sometimes from the office, sometimes from home, these fellows showed up every week to explore the possibilities that the blockchain brings to the cultural space. My name is Kitty Borissa, and I've hosted these calls over the last 10 weeks. And I'm very, very excited to host this last one, where the art institutions show you their Web3 experiment. It takes a lot of courage to step into the imperfection of experimentation, especially when you are used to the sometimes overly regulated institutional policies. So please cheer these fellows for walking the unbroken path. And today, is going to be a 2.5 hours call. So we start with celebrations and remarks on the current state of the digital art on the blockchain. And then the institutions will present their projects. We are organizing a virtual networking event in the end. So whether you are an artist, a journalist, a blockchain developer, or just interested in all of this really, you are welcome to stay afterwards and have a little chat with the institutions like you would have in a cafe after a conference, just digitally. This is a Web3 event, so of course we have a digital souvenir for you. You can get your proof of attendance token on the link that is going to be shared in the chat. So the password to get the token is demo. I will try to repeat this again a few times. There is a Google form where you can give your data, and the password is demo. So you can claim your proof of attendance token there. Diane, please share your screen and let's get into it. Questions. Okay, yeah. So the chat is off. It's only available for the presenters. But if you have questions, you can use the Q&A, and I will read some of them, or all of them if there are not so many. And after every team, we will have some time for them to answer your questions. So please pay attention when they speak, with the intention of giving them a really good question so that they can expand their explanation. And Diane, now it's yours.
Thank you. It is very exciting. It's been 8 months that we are actually working towards this exact moment. So yeah, I would like to introduce everyone to the demo day of WAC Lab Season 3. And yeah, I would like to quickly also explain what is WAC Lab. Some of you know about it, some don't. We've seen a beautiful list of participants in the registration list, and I know that some of you are actually coming for the first time. So WAC Lab is a living laboratory where cultural professionals, Web3 experts, and tech integrators meet to learn from each other. I think the educational part is really key in what we do. And each season ends in a collective experimentation with emerging technologies and the discovery of new use cases. We launched WAC Lab in 2021, and as I said, we are celebrating today the end of the third season. WAC Lab is organized by We Are Museums, which I founded more than 10 years ago. It's a French NGO, and the team of We Are Museums for WAC Lab is composed of a dozen of passionate experts coming from really everywhere. And yeah, for over a decade, We Are Museums has supported cultural institutions in exploring social, environmental, and technological innovations through conferences, research, training, and as WAC Lab, living laboratories. Very important to know that since its inception, WAC Lab has been powered by the Tezos ecosystem and supported by the Tezos Foundation. And to be honest, it is a great honor to receive the support of the Tezos Foundation years after year, as it's really the preferred blockchain protocol for the art and culture. Their trust in WAC Lab is instrumental in accelerating blockchain adoption within the cultural sector. So thank you for your trust. And I would like to explain quickly what is WAC Lab Season 3, because yeah, we've been achieving more and more every season. So the WAC Lab methodology actually lasts 8 months. We start with WAC Weekly, where a lot of people can join. We have weekly episodes providing a dedicated space for open discussions and continuous learning around museums and Web3. We welcomed more than 450 participants this year, and 36 guests coming from Serpentine, MoMA, the Musée d'Orsay, the Whitney Museum, and many more. And I have to say that WAC Weekly really creates what is the biggest knowledge center on the topic today. We also have our training program called WAC Museums, where this year we actually educated 24 cultural institutions on how Web3 technology can be used for the art and culture. We had 35 mentors guiding them and equipping them with 25 online courses with technical knowledge, but as well as critical thinking skills to navigate the complexity of Web3 space, because yeah, it's an emerging technology and it's highly complex. Let's not hide it. And then we actually have the 10 cultural institutions who really dare to adopt this technology, and 7 tech partners. So for 4 weeks, they have been working with this really close collaboration, and the teams made their first step in Web3, pioneering innovative use cases in the cultural sector. I am delighted to introduce the list of these 10 cultural institutions. They have been bold enough to start that Web3 journey with us. And it was not without challenges, of course, but they have been supported by the best tech integrators that we could find. They dedicated their time and resources to make these ideas a reality. But before diving into the projects, I would like to introduce you to Fanny Lacoubet, our education lead. We will reveal what is new with WAC Lab Season 3 and the main topics covered by the training and the incubator. Fanny, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Diane. And it is true that like after 3 seasons of WAC Lab, we are dealing with fast evolving technology. And so therefore, we have to constantly adapt the program contents, but also the learning formats to meet cultural institutions where they are and on the times that they have. And to talk just about the content first, this season saw the addition of generative AI and immersive technology to the already quite packed curriculum that covers all Web3 basics, history of digital art, use cases for museums, and legal, ethical, and environmental impact. And this whole really equals to a thorough and essential knowledge base that we want every cultural institution fellow to keep with them when maybe later on they think of a project or they want to integrate within their mission. And so all of that, and Diane mentioned the trainers and the mentors in all fields covered. To me, the important part that I want everybody to live with is this comprehensive network for all cultural institutions to rely on during, but also after the program. And to tell you a bit more about how they learned, all the museums participating had access to short video courses, transcripts on demand to watch on their phone or wherever they are, with live sessions with guests, coaching and mentoring sessions, written resources, hands-on practical activities. And why we always finding the right way to learn together is that, to me, engagement is in learning is truly the basis of everything. And also respecting the time that the busy museum professionals we work with have. This is of utmost importance. And in terms of insights, before the presentation about the trends we identified this year, well, we've seen that audience engagement is still a very hot topic, and we can mention token-based membership, live minting, on-site engagement, governance. And as the technology progresses, what is very exciting is to see the use cases become more and more advanced and showing the will to experiment further with the technology at hand. And besides the fundraising also aspect that is also quite still present, I'm also happy to report that the technology is now considered by a museum for core tasks, maybe less sexy, but so important. We're talking about cataloging, conservation, preservation, making the technology a core tool within the museum mission. And this is really what it is about, really using the technology to progress within one's mission. But without further ado, I want to give the mic to Alexandra Art, the head of art at 3D Tech for the Tezos ecosystem. Thank you.
Hello, hello. Do you hear me?
Super well.
Okay, amazing. Hi guys. I'm gonna try with a camera, but everyone, we are right now live from Lisbon, where we are here for the non-fungible conference this week, and we're hosting activations for our artists. And so our main focus is, I think I will have Diane help me with slides. Diane, if we could, yeah. Our main focus is to make Tezos the blockchain for arts and culture. But what does this really mean? Let's go to the next slide. Well, what this really means is, first and foremost, we're here for the artists, collectors, and art community. So as you can see, I'm working, doing 2, 3 things at the same time, facilitating our events, speaking to the artists, and also speaking to some of the programming that Diane and Fanny have been working so hard on, and we're so thankful to have them. So I'm just going to quickly cover some of the areas. So artists, collectors, and community, this is where we enrich different members and players in the ecosystem, including our partnership with WAC for educating museum professionals on the best practices. We also have marketplaces. So essentially, as a blockchain, we facilitate the purchase of tokenized art, and we have many incredible members. On the picture, it's one of our galleries, Object One, partnership with Fake Whale, but also we have platforms like FX Hash, like Teia, like Tesseract, Mproms, doing fascinating things. We have infrastructure. So the third picture from infrastructure was an inaugural partnership with Art Basel in Hong Kong, where visitors were able to mint NFTs right at the event. So you see a little girl scanning the QR code and receiving a generative token. And the final one, events, is actually from this week. We quickly switched the image, and this was a 360 immersive music experience. But if we jump to the next slide, I can talk a little bit more what does all of this mean. So events, it's not just a way to show art, but sometimes it's a way to show innovation. And this leads to the reason we're partnering with WAC is to show how different museums can use tokens and collectibles in their practice. And these are some of the partners that we had. With MoMA, it wasn't a direct partnership. They chose Tezos, and we provided as much educational material as we could for them to facilitate the project. With Serpentine, they had an activation where it was a game that you could play, and as part of that experience, you could have a token. Musée d'Orsay, I'm sure many of you had a chance to visit. It was also an interactive experience, live minting, and you could say kinetic sculpture. So it was a whole series of activations. And then in Arts and Science Museum in Singapore, it was another amazing opportunity to see how the technology works. And this is just us scratching the surface of what's possible. We have an incredibly exciting new partnership with the museum launching at the end of June. So this is another teaser for the future. But we're always happy to connect and speak to those who are interested in exploring ways of how art and the wider community can connect, because essentially digital art is art for the masses. And I think it's a way to push culture maybe beyond one space and really leverage the online, like the globality, and transcend the message of what we want to achieve. And if we can educate people about all these wonderful things, it would be a win. So thank you again for having me, and I look forward to seeing all the presentations today.
Thank you so much for being here. And I think now we are ready to jump to the part that we are the most excited about. At least I am the most excited about, for sure. So over the next 80-ish minutes, we will hear from all of the institutions. They will have 4 minutes each to show their projects and to tell about their future plans. And after every presentation, we will have time for one question. So please find the Q&A. It's in the bottom right corner of your screen. I will pick questions from there to every team, and it's really helpful if you ask a really good question, because for sure they forget to say something that's very interesting for you. And they will have 3 minutes to answer those questions. And then we move on to the next team. So we will hear 10 presentations. We go in an alphabetical order, except for the Canadian ones, because for them it's very early in the morning. So they are going to be closing this next 80 minutes. And the first one is, the first presentation is from France, from a castle. Alexandra, please share your screen. For the first time at WAC Lab, we were lucky to collaborate with a castle, and not any castle. It's the Château de Chambord, which is one of the most visited palaces in France, and they decided to start their Web3 journey with us. In a few seconds, Alexandra will introduce you how we'll all soon be able to collect 1 stone from the castle. So Alexandra, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello everyone, thank you. Can you can you see my PowerPoint? Yes.
Now we see it. Yes.
Yes. Hello everyone. My name is Alexandre Leboutet, and I am a digital manager for the Domaine National de Chambord in France. A quick introduction to Chambord. Chambord is 500 years of innovation. Today, the identity of Chambord's architect is a mystery. Leonardo da Vinci comes immediately to mind. The monument contains a multitude of innovative features for its time, double revolution staircase, resembling DNA, quick cross plan and a room layout that is still used today in a modern building. In short, technology and innovation are a part of Chambord DNA, which is why we are turning to Web3 today. Since 2021, Chambord's team have been working on a Web3 development project to capitalize on Chambord's worldwide renown and control the use of its image. Three objectives for us: find new forms of financing, reach new, often younger communities, and develop our brand image. To achieve these objectives, we need to surround ourselves with the right partner and specialist, and be able to exchange ideas with a colleague from institution, museum, and castle. The WAC factory offered us this place, this space, and its meeting. Many thanks to all the trainers and organizers. Thank you. Thanks to this, we were able to launch a project with Danae and Broken Egg to finance the restorations of part of the chateau. This project is exploring innovative fundraising model to support the renovation of the castle and create a club of donors at the same occasion. The fundraising will focus on the restoration of the Francis I wing. This innovative project is based on the use of an existing point clad of the Château de Chambord, transformed into a sellable fraction in the form of NFTs. This initiative enables history and technology enthusiasts to participate directly in the restoration of the chateau. With Danae, through a white label platform for the sale of digital twins, users can acquire these fractions. Each purchase triggers a 3D visualization of the castle reconstruction, inspired by the Pixel Wars model and the Flesh, which evolves as donations are made. Various price levels are proposed for each fraction, allowing collectors to choose according to their preference and budget. This unique project combines cultural heritage and cutting-edge technology, offering and immersive, interactive donation experience. The project is currently at the mock-up stage. We hope to move into the testing and production phase soon, with a view to launching late this year, early next. Don't hesitate to follow Chambord's social networks to find out more about the project. So much for the project. We could talk about is 4 hours, but to keep to the timetable, I will stop. I will stop here.
Thank you very much. And while we are waiting for questions from the audience, I do have one. So does this all mean that the collectors will become owners of a virtual palace? Because that could like challenge the concept of the ownership and go towards like a collective ownership of the palace itself. Is that something that you're thinking of?
Yes, yes, and yes and no, because the idea is protecting the Chambord's image, and the donors don't comment dire,
We lost you now.
donor don't guest owner of the NFT is in fact.
Thank you. And there is another question. How will the digital twin be accessible? Is this web or virtual reality or augmented reality? What's the plan there?
On our website, Danae, it's a white label platform, and this platform is directly integrate on the Chambord website.
Thank you. I see that there are more questions, so I just want to say that you can all join the networking event at the end of this call and then ask your questions live. But now it's time to go for the next presentation. And I think Kimberly might have internet issues, so just double checking. Kim, are you here? Are you available to share your screen? Yes, okay, perfect. I'm very excited to discover the final production of this team, as it is the first time when we integrate immersive technologies into the WAC Lab, and it seems that an entire immersive environment has been built in only 4 weeks. It's very impressive. Kim, the floor is yours.
Kim, we can't hear you. Can you switch off your mic?
I'm Kimberly Lee. I'm the interactive media producer at Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art and the Momentary. Our tech partnership is with Broken Egg. A little bit of the museum's background. It opened in 2011. It takes its name from a nearby natural spring and the bridge construction incorporated into the building, which is designed by architect Moshe Safdie. The mission of Crystal Bridges is to welcome all and to celebrate the American spirit in a setting that unites the power of art within the beauty of nature. The museum is currently set within a 120-acre park featuring natural springs, streams, and forested areas. In 2026, the museum will complete a nearly 100,000 square foot expansion, which will double the size of the current facility So you can see the image currently as of on the left, and there's a bunch of construction going on. Hopefully the image on the right side will be completed in 2026. But to support the museum's commitment to free access to art for all, the new space will increase capacity for presenting art and exhibitions, educational and outreach initiatives, cultural programming, and community events. So the increased gallery space by 65% will allow the museum to present art with 2 new galleries, while also adding to existing space for temporary exhibitions and offering new spaces for community displays. This year, the museum is currently exploring the creation of experimental spaces where new ideas will be tested by the public to help inform the growth and needs for the expansion. Our exploring Web3 technologies as part of our larger digital strategy, and we saw an opportunity to join WAC Lab to help develop additional digital interactive for one of our experimental spaces with a tech partnership and a selected cohort. These photos represent the current state of the gallery we're experimenting in, and it's also the windowed gallery you see my virtual background behind me. That's the outside of it. In mid-July, a new exhibition will open and focus on the American art of craft. So our original challenge question was, how might we build an interactive pilot for a gallery space focused on American craft? Prior to WAC Lab, I had been leading an internal meeting engagement task force comprised of different department members at the museum and one digital strategy partner with the sole mission of ideating physical and digital interactives for the galleries. We spent 6 weeks together using design thinking strategies from the Luma Institute to ideate for our upcoming experimental space in July. For this exhibition focused on American craft, our internal team decided to explore the creation of an immersive woodworking experience. Our target audience is young adults. The 4 wooden sculptures shown on the screen are contemporary artworks that will be on view during the run of the exhibition. The artworks are the inspirations behind the user journey and the digital objects that the users will make in the immersive experience. And while there will be 4 contemporary woodworking processes in the final experience, for the minimum viable product, we worked with Broken Egg to create an immersive experience focused on the American wood turner Bob Stockstill and his process of creating a wooden tray. These are different perspectives directly of the object itself. For the past 4 weeks of WAC Factory, we've been using it to develop the user journey of this minimum viable product. Broken Egg and I have worked heavily on thinking thoroughly about how a woodworker's tools and process would translate into the digital experience. These are some of the inspiration images. The black and white photos are documentation of Bob Stockstill and his tools. The colored images are from another contemporary woodworking artist. His name is Michael Peterson. He uses the texture from brown wood, which is the same wood used by Bob Stockstill. There we go. This proof of concept will be accessible online via spatial.io. Final product will be executed on touchscreens in gallery and online, so there'll be 2 versions of the same experience. This proof of concept is simplified to one environment inside a woodworking studio, which is designed and inspired by Crystal Bridges architecture. Keep in mind, we're making a wooden tray inspired by Bob Stockstill. One of the main goals behind the experience is for the user to learn about the tools and steps of the artist's process. So there are fun facts that show up on the side of the screen. This guided and controlled experience allows the user to understand how the materials and tools connect to each artist's practice. For this one, it's an example is madrone trees, often found in the Pacific Northwest, have a distinctive reddish-orange hue with smooth peeling bark and intricate grain patterns. Bob Stockstill chose to work with madrone because of its vibrant colors and grain, which allowed him to create turned wood pieces that showcase the natural beauty of the material. So as you can see, the user is able to walk to each tool using the keyboard controls and following the compass on the screen, indicated by the 4 arrows. And each step of the process is prompted and explained through the pop-ups. So for example, here the outside of the wooden tray gets carved before the inside, and the gouge is a sharp tool with a handle that is used to carve before the sanding block is used to smooth the surface. One of our bigger challenges of creating this proof of concept was thinking through how each tool looks and is used. How much a wooden cylinder be attached to the lathe during carving? What movement does the tray have while it's being sanded? And of course, we added a finishing touch using the mineral oil. And so there's a little bit of a surprise at the end. And lastly, there's a potential for an NFT or other Web3 related component to be developed as part of the conclusion of the experience. It might be in the form of a proof of attendance protocol or an augmented reality object that users can receive and take photos of using their mobile. We're excited to further collaborate with Broken Egg, and I encourage you all to stay tuned with us at Crystal Bridges and see what the final product will look like. Like I said, there will be a web version and in-person experience.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank
And
you.
Questions? There was one that just disappeared. What's the hardware you supply for people taking this immersive experience?
That's a good question. So as you see in the presentation, there are two touchscreens. It just requires your hand to touch it. And so that will be the in-gallery experience. People will just use their 5-finger touch to move along the experience. Of course, the online version, people have access to a keyboard. And also we are using a really good small form factor computer with a high RAM to run the experience.
Thank you. And I'm really curious, these artists sound very analog. So how was your experience in convincing them to collaborate in such a digital project? Did you have to do education?
Yeah, I think it's sort of a onboarding experience. I think that's where my role comes in a lot, is explaining, bridging the gap between visual art and tech. I have a background in both, so that works out really well. As far as the artists, 2 of them passed away, so I've been in touch with their studio or their family member who's in charge of their estate. And so they have been very and I've keep them along track on like the information that they feel free to provide. And then I also give them the goals of the experience, what we're trying to accomplish. So it's really that back and forth communication. But no one has objected to the experience overall.
That's good to know. And what are your measurement of success, both in real and in the digital experience?
I think that's something we're still working through because, like I said, this is a proof of concept. So really thinking through the next step would be the user journey online and in person. We have an internal research and evaluation team that we'll work with, and they're developing questions and also in-person observations that they'll make in gallery.
Thank you. And one more question: is the result then individual?
The result individual. Can you expand on that? I'm not sure if I understand the question.
I think it was coming from what you said previously. So the object that they make.
Oh, the object. Yeah, it is. So it is a controlled product. So you do have a defined product at the end, but there's 4 different pathways of what will determine the product. But it is individual, and we hope that there will be a takeaway in the end. And so it is individual based.
Okay, thank you so much. We are on to the next team now. So Tabea, please share your screen. During the Work Factory, Tabea and the NIMI team explored how to share governance of a series of workshops and events. They imagined how every participant could have a voice in the program and even win some benefits if they were regular attendees. So Tabea, the floor is yours. Tell us more.
Yes, thank you. So I'm Tabea Führer. I participated in the WAC Lab program on behalf of the Goethe Institute in Lisbon, Portugal, with the Web3 program that we are currently working on. So what is it? It's an educational program for artists and creatives, which means we are offering bi-weekly workshops about Web3 and new technologies in the Goethe Institute in Lisbon in person. The target group are artists and professional creatives that are non or only medium tech savvy. And we created this because through our research and experience, we came to the conclusion that there's a huge knowledge gap when it comes to new technologies. So we want to contribute to building digital literacy for the creatives that are basically in Lisbon. We also want to prepare not only ourselves, but also the creatives and artists for the digital future. And we want to experiment with the Web3 technology in the structure of the institution itself. So before we started WAC, or when we started this project, we thought about how can we actually incorporate Web3 into this institution, and what kind of tool can we use to build the community and also incentivize the engagement of the workshops. Thanks to the WAC Lab, we've been able to connect with other institutions that are also interested in and actively working with art and tech. And with NIMI, we found an accessible and experienced tech partner who is perfectly suitable for this, for this mission. So the goal for the last 4 weeks was to create a blueprint for this community engagement tool. So working with POAPs that later we can possibly also use to set up a DAO. What we needed was a user-friendly and easily accessible Web3 tech integration. We wanted to facilitate the internal organization of signups and confirmations. And as a forward-thinking institution, we want to explore the new digital realm. The solution that we've received, thanks to NIMI, is a user-friendly web app. So it allows the attendees to collect the NFTs for each workshop that they participate, and they can gain special perks such as a round table or the full material of the course, for example. Through NIMI's loyalty token as a service program, we can offer an easy onboarding for new Web3 users. So through the app, a non-custodial wallet will be created simply with using the email address. And the app also serves as a central hub for the token-gated resources. So once logged in the app, you can see all the courses that you've taken part of, you can see all the perks, and you have access to the course material from the previous workshops as well. You can see here a short demo. So you scan a QR code, you then end up on the specific token website. As a new user, you would claim the NFT. You then create a sign-up with your name and email address. And after receiving a confirmation via email for the authentication, you will be able to log in. This then brings you to the gallery where you can see all your claimed POAPs. And once you click on redeem, you can see the specific perks. So it was very important for us to be accessible. What you can see here is a course manual that summarizes all the workshops that we have been giving, with all the presentations and infos for the participants. So it's overall a pretty straightforward project, I would say. If this sounds interesting for someone, feel free to get in touch. At the moment, we are looking for funding for the app development itself, as well as for the program 2025. And we hope that we can continue educating artists in Lisbon. We're also always interested in partnerships with institutions or tech companies or experts that are based in Lisbon or even Europe. And yeah, feel free to reach out. You can see my contacts down here. The QR code brings you to the website of the program. And we also have a Telegram group for the program and all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are looking for the questions in the Q&A. One that I have is, what do you think how your audience will respond to the idea of blockchain technology? Do you think it's going to be generally a positive or a negative response?
I think it's going to be neutral. So we did a soft launch this week, and we're still figuring out the best timing to actually introduce the practical tech. The fact that we can have a very practical use case, as in you need to create a POAP or claim a POAP to have the summary of all the workshops, makes it very tangible and useful. So personally, I would say it's probably going to take another 2 to 3 weeks for everyone to be fully on board, to understand the login and to understand the point of the POAP, because we're working with people who have never been in touch with Web3. But overall, I think it's going to work great, because we'll offer some really nice and attractive perks for them. So I think it's going to be good.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm looking at the Q&A for more questions. And what I have in mind is whether you are going towards a DAO direction. So do you plan to involve your audience more into the programming and decentralize that as well? Or where does this all lead? Like, why are you prototyping this? What's the future?
So I think why are we prototyping this is, I think it makes sense when you educate about Web3 to actually use it and to create a tangible use case, which in this case, I think makes a lot of sense. Regarding the DAO, it's an idea that we had and still have. We just need to see if the program is able to continue in the next year, depending on the funding and on the setup. And if we actually are able to incorporate some kind of financial incentive, because otherwise the DAO is not really needed, let's say. So if we're able to actually work with maybe valuable NFTs or some kind of financial incentives, we can do it. If it's about the program curation, we might as well use the off-chain possibilities. We have like summaries or the Telegram channel. But it's definitely an idea, and if the program continues, we'd love to explore a bit more.
And how many participants do you expect?
At the moment, we have about 15 to 20 participants every workshop. So we have 2 workshops per month until the end of the year. So we started in February. We've had about 70 to 80 participants until now.
Thank you. We have time for more questions. So if you're listening and have some questions coming up, you can ask them. But if not, then we can move on to the next person, who is going to be Gabriela. So Gabriela, please share your screen. With this project, we are traveling to Buenos Aires, and we are exploring the universe of one of the main characters of Argentinian literature. So the project that's presented is a mix of poetry, 19th century drawings, and generative art. Super exciting. Gabriela, please tell us more. Gabriela?
Yes,
Okay,
here I am.
you.
Do you
And
hear
we
me?
see your presentation. Yes, all good.
Okay, thank you, Kitty. Well, hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. We are presenting this challenging project, Martin Fierro, a hacker in the Pampas. Our main objective with this project is to introduce people to Web3 by offering an open edition of generative art that brings to current times the classical poem Martin Fierro, working with a special edition by Tomás Di Taranto. I am Gabriela Serkin. I am technologist, artist, and curator of Hashtag, an art, technology, and NFTs experience in the Arts Pavilion, Universidad Católica Argentina. And it's an honor for me to collaborate with the Museum of Popular Art, José Hernández, and its director, Felicitas Luna. MAP is one of the 10 museums depending on the city of Buenos Aires. It is a benchmark institution in traditional and contemporary crafts in Argentina, and it's willing to educate and surprise its public with a digital approach to its heritage collections. Before applying to WAC Factory, we have been exploring what could be the way to introduce museum public to Web3. That's how we considered Martin Fierro, as this year we celebrate 190 years of José Hernández's birth. This book is a classic of international literature because it is written in the form of a poem and because of its spirit. Martin Fierro is a gaucho living in the Pampa in times of great transformations. He embodies values that are national but at the same time are universal, such as courage, friendship, resiliency, and the value of the given word. The well-known writer Jorge Luis Borges admired Hernández's talent for making so attractive a marginal character of great social value. 100 years after the first edition of Martin Fierro, Tomás Di Taranto illustrated a special multilingual edition that was widely distributed among a thriving Argentine society. Di Taranto painted much more than Martin Fierro, but his work was well known in the 1970s, but little is known today. So this year, we celebrate 120 years of Di Taranto, and his legacy will be exhibited in MAP by November. We invited the generative coder artist Eliodoro Santos to reinterpret the illustrations of Martin Fierro by Di Taranto and to create an open edition in FX platform. As we're currently in the beginnings of the project, we just have this one great piece of his last pieces to share with you so that you can see his great work in the crypto space. The Night of the Museum is a celebration of the arts and culture, and we consider that it is an excellent chance to share the open minting experience. Visitors to MAP and to the Arts Pavilion at that day will be invited to generate live a unique iteration of the artwork by Eliodoro Santos and collect it as an NFT. The different iterations of the artwork will be displayed on screen, exhibiting the reinterpretation next to the original artworks of Di Taranto. The team is formed by Felicitas Luna, director of MAP, Eliodoro Santos, and myself, and we got the help of Di Taranto's family and Cecilia Cabana, the director of the Arts Pavilion. We are Museums and FX, the platform where the collection will be minted. We have everything ready to begin with the development, in which we are going to work until September, and at the same time educate the museum staff and create necessary wallets for the minting. The minting will take place during the Night of the Museums, and after that we'll offer a special edition available in FX. We invite companies, protocols, and Web3 platforms to showcase their logo in the event. That will help us a lot to afford the needed infrastructure for the minting. And if interested, you can contact us directly. Well, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Gabriela. So the Q&A is in the bottom right corner of the screen. If you have questions for Gabriela, please put it there. I will try to take some more time to wait for the questions. My question is, what do you think about the ethics and what are the complications of updating the artistic heritage for the present day?
Well, we are working with Martin Fierro. That's a poem very iconic for Argentinians. So we need to respect the poem and Di Taranto's work. So it's a great challenge to link the past to the present. That's something what we are going to work on.
And how will the experience work on site?
The experience, yes, will be live minting, and it will be free. It will be a digital souvenir for the people, and a free digital souvenir. And we expect a lot of people that night, because there are more than 8,000 people in both places, and that perhaps they will go for the minting. So it's we will have some Web3 communities, people helping for the minting, and at the same time educate, where our special aim is to educate people on Web3.
And will you only have the souvenirs, or are you planning to also sell some NFTs? Are you selling
Yes.
an FX hash?
Yes, after this day of the digital souvenir, we are going to work perhaps some days later on a special edition of this, and that will be in the marketplace. Yes, sure.
Thank you. Another question, is the museum considering acquiring one iteration from the generative artwork by Helios Santos?
We have not talked about that yet. That would be great.
Anyone else from the audience is having a question? Giving it a little more time just to make sure that you won't miss one. But if there are no more questions, then here's one. Can visitors sell the free souvenir on a secondary market?
Of course. Of course, the gift is an asset for the visitor. So if we can educate them on this, that we are, the gift is an asset for them, and they can, of course, they can sell it afterwards. And that way we are going to speak on royalties for the association of the museum, and perhaps this will help the museum. This is the first project of perhaps other projects we can work on.
Thank you very much for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, then the next on stage is Marina. Marina, please share your screen.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. If I can name one project that really pushes the boundaries of the decentralized technology, it is this one. Marina and her team has the vision of sharing the governance and the operational management of their platform for artist open calls. Can you imagine that some museum exhibitions will be managed by the audience, artists, and curators? I certainly can. Marina, tell us more about it.
Yeah, hello. My name is Marina Neting. I am digital curator of Museum Ulm. If you don't know where Ulm is, it's in Germany, in the south of Germany, between Munich and Stuttgart. So let's start from where we come from. This is Next Museum.io. It's a platform for swarm curation. The platform was created by Museum Ulm and NRW Forum Düsseldorf in 2020. It was funded for the last 4 years by the Federal Cultural Foundation in the digital funds. And the platform was all about open calls for collaborative exhibition projects, events, and digital experiments. In 2024, so this year, while the funding ended, we launched the final version, which is full of ideas we took from the swarm and from tech experts. And we planned a takeover by an operational DAO. Actually, the idea of a DAO was always on the table for Next Museum.io. What you see here was the cake we shared last year at Republica at a meetup where we discussed the idea of a DAO with the community, because we think a publicly funded platform like Next Museum.io should be considered as a common good, and therefore carried by a lot of different institutions and persons, as many people as possible. We were quite surprised that our idea for a DAO was turned upside down during the WAC Factory by our partner Nimi. So from a DAO to a token-based engagement system. We are preparing a DAO-like structure for the support of partner museums and our 3 user groups, the curators, the artists, and the art lovers. Why did we do that? A decentralized autonomous organization demands wallets, cryptos, and know-how. And what do museums in general do not have by now? Wallets, crypto, and know-how. Even if they like the idea and would like to support us, it might just be not possible for them to join a DAO or to hold digital assets. So for institutional support, we stick to a classic off-chain partnership model. But for all the other user group, it's going to be a Web3 based system, because it's full of learnings, it's full of opportunities, and we think this is the future. And if you want to support, you better make it easy and fun for others. This is why we embarked on a token-based engagement system with a gamification element, of course. So we would like to lay the foundation for a future co-ownership model by incentivizing and rewarding people for their contributions. Now imagine you are one of our 3 user groups, you are an art lover. You have different actions you can do to earn tokens. For example, you can join a discussion by writing a comment, or you can attend a community event, or you can share something from Next Museum.io on your social media that might help us. And if you do so, you get tokens. Let us go for a little flow to make it really understandable. Once you create a profile on Next Museum.io, you receive your wallet. With that action, you can already claim your first token, and that opens the overview in your profile so that you can see the actions and rewards. By completing actions, you receive more tokens that you can see in your wallet, and then you can reward claims. This is a profile just to show you how things are arranged on your profile. On the left side, this is what you can have right now on Next Museum.io. It's your information and your social media links. And on the right side, we have prepared a little view on the token system. Several items. And there you can see once they get colored, then you already have redeemed them. You like the idea? What can you do now? We can connect. That would be very fun. You can follow us on Instagram. This is where we share news. You may join Next Museum.io by creating a profile. If you are interested in becoming a partner museum, I'm happy to have your call or your email. And if you are right now an artist, an art lover, or simply a pasta fan, check out the recent open call Al Dente on the platform. It's still going on. You may submit. And I don't want to end without saying thank you to some really important companies and people. So thank you, Nimi, for guiding us. The last 4 weeks, it was quite a race. Thank WAC team and Tezos. And we are really chewing on this idea for quite a while. So it's been years that we've talked to Martin Zeilinger, Ruth Catlow, Sarah Friend, Nina Röse and Ugo Pecorayo, and all this was very, very, very helpful. Also, thank you to Republica for hosting DAO and Cake last year. And last but most important, thanks to our Next Museum.io swarm. We discussed so much, and I'm very much looking forward to realize this idea with you together.
Thank you, Marina. Congratulations. You have a lot of questions coming already. So the first is, how can you receive your tokens if you don't have crypto? And what do you mean by wallet? Is it an on-chain wallet or only a custodial solution?
It's an on-chain wallet. And you get, like you get for this event, a token that you have to claim. And this is how it works. You don't need crypto. Of course you can, but you don't need, because the actions, the gas fees are paid by us. So that's the answer to the question for crypto. But you need a wallet, of course, to collect tokens and to get access to token-gated options or perks.
And what can you do with the tokens that you redeem?
You can get, that was on the slide with the account. You can, for example, have entry with a friend for a museum that is partnering with us, or you can have a surprise merch product, or you can get invited to a very exclusive event we are going to organize once a year for people who collected enough tokens. So we are thinking about what might be attractive, how can we incentivize the different user groups of Next Museum.io to make it really attractive to do something to support us and then have tokens.
Is it possible to trade with those tokens?
No, it's not possible. It's a closed system, of course. So we want you to do something for Next Museum.io to support, and then you can spend with Next Museum.io related stuff, your tokens.
Thank you. And I'm really curious of how your initial ideas have been shaping over the WAC. So can you share a little bit about that? Like, where did you pivot? Where did you have to shift?
We definitely had to shift when it comes to the real DAO idea, because to us, we really started with, we would like to design a DAO, and that should be the product. But then we learned, we also did a little survey with some museums, and we learned how difficult it actually will be for them to join a blockchain-based project. So it's not only the know-how that's probably lacking, it's also just a possibility to go on blockchain. And so we said goodbye to this idea to immediately launch a DAO and have a perfect system, and then doing a lot of marketing and explaining everybody what this is, and maybe ending up with just a little group being possible to do so. We adopted the idea of a token-based engagement system because it's engagement first, and then it's co-ownership later, and it's a whole process for everybody, also for us.
Very interesting, thank you. A few more seconds for other questions, if there are. But of course, if anybody is stuck with a question, you can stay till the end of the event, where there is going to be some networking, so you can have your questions face-to-face, even engage in conversations with the participants. And so if there are no more questions right now, then the next on stage is Larissa. Larissa, please share your screen. It's now time to travel to Puerto Rico. For their project with us, the museum decided to turn one of their biggest spaces into an invitation to admire and collect a unique artwork. I let her tell you more about it. Larissa, the floor is yours. Please unmute. We see your presentations, but you are muted. Good now. Thank you. We hear you.
Hello, I'm Larissa Vázquez, Communications Manager of Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico. The Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico is a non-profit organization accredited by the American Alliance of Museums. Its mission is to study, investigate, and preserve the Puerto Rican artistic heritage in order to foster innovative, inclusive, and participatory approaches between the visual arts and the communities they serve. In 2020, the Ford Foundation named the museum to its list of America's cultural treasures for its significant impact on the cultural landscape. Our art collection houses work by Puerto Rican artists or residents of Puerto Rico from the 18th century to the present. And to celebrate our 25th anniversary, we will have a collaboration with internationally known Puerto Rican artist Gisela Colón. Gisela's sculptures and monumental environmental installations explore the subjectivities of human perception, challenging viewers to experience transformation in real time and space. We are lucky because Gisela is here with us today. So would you please describe or explain your concept for this project?
We can't hear. Should we hear something?
Okay, now you allowed me to unmute my mic. Hello,
Yes.
everybody. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Larissa, for that kind introduction. My project at the Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico consists of an immersive installation video titled Materia Prima Patria, which draws from my personal history of growing up in Puerto Rico. I use autobiographical elements such as the moon landing, El Yunque rainforest, the Observatorio de Arecibo, as well as referencing my personal experiences with gun violence and more generally, the collective Puerto Rican history of militarized colonialism on the island. And in this particular work, the language of bullets, projectiles, spacecraft, and other implements of war and surveillance become transmuted into mountains, cells, and other elements of the natural and cosmic worlds, telling a story of positive transformation, which kind of is the underpinning of my practice. And I'm very excited about this project because it brings cutting edge Web3 technology to Puerto Rico for the first time. And here viewers will actively participate by minting digital souvenirs, engaging in a real shared community experience that extends beyond the museum walls into the outside world.
The atrium is 3 stories high, approximately 33 feet or 10 meters. This space will be turned into an immersive video project, as Gisela explained, with an invitation to collect snapshots of the video, Gisela's videos, as individual digital souvenirs. And this is a collaboration supported by FXH and Keru. That's the user flow and mediation signage made by Keru. So visitors are invited to scan a QR code to capture a moment of the video as a digital souvenir using timestamping. And we want to be able to complete this project in time for our 25th anniversary in the summer of 2025. So we are definitely open for partnerships. We would love to find a creative coder to help us complete our project and definitely need funding to finish it. We know we have a lot of challenges, but we are very excited of what's next. And we love our WAC Lab and this wonderful group. So big thank you for you all.
Thank you very much, Larissa, for being part of it. I know that when you started this project, you wanted to give more prominence to the underutilized online space. So how do you feel now? Is this the first of many?
We most definitely hope so, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from Jasmine. How do people receive the snapshots or the digital souvenirs? Is it an email and a JPEG?
Well,
or what exactly the digital souvenir is?
They can capture a moment from Gisela's video as a digital souvenir using timestamping.
But in what form do they receive these snapshots? Is this an NFT? Is this just a JPEG? What's the format of it?
As an NFT.
As an NFT. Are there any more questions? Okay. Yeah, if you are sitting in the audience and having questions, I think you can also pose those questions while people are speaking, just so when we get to the question parts, we have them already. And if there are no questions to Larissa now, there is one. How long will be the exhibition live for?
We are still discussing that part because we wanted for our anniversary. So we also want to keep a limited edition for it, so it gives people the need to come and to collect your digital souvenirs. So maybe it's going to be during a limited time, maybe during the summer, or we don't know if we can do it for the whole anniversary year. So we'll still discuss it on it, but we want to do it a limited edition. So probably it's going to be for a limited time period.
Okay, so you kind of answered the next question, whether there is a limit of the NFTs. So it's going to be a numbered series of Gisela's artwork?
Yeah, it's going, it gives more value to it. Gisela, if you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think it'll be a numbered, a limited series, but we still have to discuss, you know, the extent of it and the time duration. I mean, I could envision that, you know, the museum exhibition runs longer, and once the series runs out, it runs out, you know, once you put a cap on it, but the exhibition itself can continue, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's creating demand probably.
Yes,
And
yes.
And so in like this, the NFT is like owning a part of your artwork. Is it a, can they also sell it?
I don't know. I don't know, but I presume if it's an NFT, it would have some value at some point, you know, as an individual snapshot that's numbered. And I think the limited edition, I think Larissa and I were talking, helps create a sense of urgency so that visitors get to the museum, because they know that there's a finite amount of time within which they could collect that, and there's a finite number. So I think it gives it a little bit of, you know, bringing in people to the museum.
One more question is whether you can attach a utility to the NFTs.
I don't know. Larissa, do you know?
Okay. And how do you feel knowing that some people will collect part of your artwork and not the entire one? Are you thinking of minting the entire video?
No, I think I like the idea of a snapshot, because it's exactly that. It's a souvenir of their attendance and experience at the museum that then goes outside of the museum walls, and it's just so much more democratic that anybody can have it, you know, and they don't need to use money, and they don't need to be part of a elite collecting group. I think it's democratic, and I really love that idea.
So is the snapshot they receive a random one?
We haven't fine-tuned all of the planning yet, which we're going to do with Diane. So I think there's still some open questions. I mean, this is at the inception, so we'll figure that out.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like people are really excited for this. That's why there are many questions.
Well, me too. I was just wondering, what if they get a snapshot of like half of the sun and a part of a mountain? Like, you know, like when the video's transitioning from one imagery to the other, it could be, I mean, allowing the viewer to then have some kind of a agency over what they grab, I think is a really cool concept, which we'll discuss further. You know, because then they feel like they have agency and ownership and control over what they get, which is really cool as a concept. You know, I don't know how we'll implement it, but I'm open to that.
Really, really exciting. And what's your timeline?
Next summer. I mean, we'll open the exhibition next summer for the anniversary.
Okay. Thank you very much for being part of it and for sharing with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us. I'm excited.
And yeah, stay for the networking, because it sounds like people will be really interested in this project. So I hope they can catch you and talk to you directly. But now we move on to the next one. Günhan, please share your screen. The Swiss National Museum had this beautiful vision of a shared collection catalog with other museums, so everyone could borrow digital artworks and set up exhibition as they wished. With WAC Factory, they tested their idea and developed the proof of concept. Let's hear Günhan talking about it.
Thank you very much. Hi to everyone from Zurich. My name is Günhan Akarçay. I'm head of digital transformation and innovation at the Swiss National Museum. And I'm actually very happy to be here today to talk about this exciting project we worked on with the help of Artifact Labs from Hong Kong. We worked together to investigate the technical feasibility of a collaborative and decentralized catalog system that could be used by several institutions, researchers, and individuals. But before telling you more about this project, I would like to say a few words about our museum. The Swiss National Museum is the largest cultural historical museum in Switzerland and is actually composed of 3 museums and 1 collection center. In our collections, we have more than 870,000 objects and millions of photographies. We have a public mandate to showcase the history, culture, and identities from its beginnings up to today. And to do so, we're actually using more and more digital material. That brings me to my motivation, or our motivation, why we participated to the WAC Lab. Well, like many other museums, we have been very interested for a while now to explore the potential of Web3 and the blockchain technology. And we are very much aware of the challenges and shortcomings of the Web2 and are asking ourselves, how can we successfully continue fulfilling our mission as a museum in the new digital era? And how can we maintain our independence and trustworthiness while opening new doors for more participation and collaboration with other institutions. So, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we wanted to explore the possibility of using the blockchain technology to build a decentralized catalog system. This catalog would be in a first step dedicated to digital-born objects or collection-related digital assets. This is indeed a difficult and, one must say, expensive subject matter, and it was important to us to have a catalog or a platform that could be used by and shared with several institutions, researchers, and individuals. We worked with Art Lab to develop a prototype where comprehensive metadata and additional documentation on digital objects and assets are stored on chain. The aim here is to preserve all the data and information in a transparent and secure fashion, and also to ensure authenticity. But what's very interesting is that we tried to go one step further and contextualize actually these objects by documenting again on chain, for example, their exhibition history, thereby ensuring provenance information. So where has this object been shown and in what context? I will try to explain very simply how it works. So authorized institutions, for instance, museums, can log in objects or assets onto the blockchain. And existing entries can then not be changed or once they have been created. Then these same institutions, but also further authorized researchers or individuals, can not only update the information with, for example, additional documentation or research outputs, but also borrow and use the objects or their copies. Each of these use would be in turn again documented in the blockchain, ensuring transparency and provenance information. This is quite complex, actually, technically, and we're very thankful to the Art Lab team because it was important to us through this proof of concept to get a better understanding of the required architecture in the backend and the scalability of such a platform. So that's it. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to get in touch with us. Again, I would like to thank everyone who has been involved and the WAC team, of course, the Art Lab team for this great opportunity, and wish you all a great rest of the day. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Ginhan. Your video was frozen, so we got a snapshot of you this whole time. But now
you didn't miss much.
But
no
now
worries.
you're moving again, which is great. So a big question I have to you is, like, as a national level institution, what kind of challenges and difficulties did you encounter with the cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies? Because that might be useful for other, like, is there any learnings that you want to share with other national level institutions?
Yeah, it's a difficult topic. I can maybe just summarize what was important for us as a national museum. Of course, we work under certain regulatory constraints. So everything that's related to fundraising is more difficult for us, or it doesn't come really into question. And we have a certain responsibility, of course, towards the audiences and towards society. So we have to ensure that the projects we work on and the way we invest our resources is meaningful for them. And in that sense, what one of our biggest challenge is how can we cope with our gigantic collection. And while we were working on that, we realized, okay, we cannot do this alone. Museums have to work together. So that's why we've been in touch with other museums in Switzerland, talking about different use cases. And this is one use case we would like to discuss further with them in the future.
Thank you. And what type of intersection or gateway does the metadata have to be able to upload it?
I'm not sure I understand the question. I'll try to answer, but maybe Vanya can jump in. For now, we really focused on the minimal kind of metadata. So what's the origin of the object or the asset? Who is the creator? We try to add also some free text and documentation on the metadata. And what's interesting in this project is the exhibition history, for example, is not a metadata. It's also it's like an entry in the blockchain. So we have basically, very simply said, two blockchains that communicate with each other. If that's the question, I don't know if it answers it, but maybe Vanya wants to add something.
The only thing I could add is that since it is only a POC currently, the metadata is only entered manually by the agency currently. But obviously, once we would develop this further, we would also create interfaces that were, or gateways, or use gateways.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah, there was really a prototype that Artifact Labs developed for us.
Did you choose a blockchain already?
Yeah, well, for this prototype, we relied on the blockchain that Artifact Labs is providing.
Which is?
I don't want to say something wrong, but they call it Artivault. Is that correct, Vanya?
I think that's the product they are using, their CMS. I believe they work on Polygon, but I'm not 100% sure either.
Yeah, Polygon.
The choice of technology was not, or the decision of the blockchain was not an important one for us. It was more of a, to get a full understanding how to combine the blockchain entry for the exhibition with the blockchain entry that has the metadata of the object.
But our colleagues from Artifact Labs are in the chat. I think they can maybe give some information. And yeah, they have been really, really very helpful for this POC. I think someone raised their hand from the team. Kitty, could they?
Sure, let me see. Yeah, maybe raise hand again. Amazing, that helps. I can give you the words of Zeph. You want to speak? I think you should be able to. Okay, so yeah, we just stick to the original format. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, it's on Polygon at the moment. So Vanya is right. As they mentioned, I think with the choice of blockchain is based on like the
We lost you, Zaf, sorry.
Okay.
But as Vanya said, I think our collaborators were very open, and the choice of the blockchain was not decisive, as Vanya said, for this POC.
Okay, so another question, how many museums would you like to onboard?
Well, in the future, as many as possible, but I think on the short term, we have been really restricting ourselves to 5 to 10 museums in Switzerland. The reason for that is that it's a complex topic, and someone mentioned at the beginning of the meeting today, all the museums are so busy, so that requires a certain commitment in terms of time. So we're trying to, but in those 5 to 10 museums, we try to get a representation of different sizes and different fields.
There is one more question from Johanna. So if once on the blockchain and then it cannot be changed, then what's the plan for when there are new infos to be known about a thing and you want to put it into the blockchain data? So what happens if there are new informations coming?
Yeah, so maybe I didn't explain it correctly, but you have anytime the possibility, so all the authorized users can add new information. It's just that the old information doesn't get deleted. So I can see what someone changed 5 years ago, but I have access to actually all the updates.
And how did you come up with this idea? It's super visionary.
Well, it was a lot of hard discussions with Vanya, so we've been working together for a while now, and we have been discussing with other museums in Switzerland also for a while. So I think it was a lot of exchange of ideas. I mean, Vanya brought a lot of inputs, but the other museums, and it was a collaborative effort. I think our focus was to come up with a use case that would be common to a lot of museums, and we believe that this is a use case that could indeed be useful to many museums. Yeah.
And how does someone become an authorized user? Who's authorizing the users?
Good question. We don't have the answer to that yet.
Okay, but were you thinking of it?
Yeah, sure. That's, if museums collaborate on a common blockchain, then the question of governance is a big issue. So this is also something we're discussing with our partners and other museums, but we don't want to impose an answer on that. I think that's something that should be decided together with other museums.
Okay, so you decentralize decision making.
Absolutely, we're Switzerland.
Amazing. Are you planning to collaborate with the Zurich Creative Center?
We haven't talked with them yet on this topic, but I think at some point we'll get in touch with them.
Yeah, this sounds more like a suggestion than a question,
Yeah,
right?
thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, there was the question, the Q&A was buzzing for you also. So yeah, if people still want to talk to you, I hope you are staying here for the networking, and then you can go a bit more private.
Yeah, I will have to leave a bit early, but Vanya is here and our colleagues from Artifact Labs are here, although it's very late in Hong Kong, so thank you so much. But they can contact us per email at any time. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so you can then share your email in the chat also. And the next on stage is Martin. Martin, please share your screen. So inspired by a precious collection of the Royal Danish collection, Martin envisioned the transformation of the visitors to talk about human fragility. But I will not say more because it's really exciting, and I let Martin to elaborate on it.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I just need to unmute myself. Minor detail. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you now.
All right, thank you. Human Nature is a collaboration between the Royal Danish Collection and artist Martine Hjalgaard, me, and it's supported by creative coder Aldovanda. It's been inspired by the collection of Flora Danica, which is a lot of very beautiful drawings. They were done in the 18th century, or rather they were initiated in the 18th century. There are more than 3,400 drawings, and they're done in a somewhat scientific style to document and map nature. And it took 122 years to finish. Flora Danica is also a porcelain dinnerware set, which is still today used by the Royal Danish family on special occasions. And all of this strange, beautiful, peculiar combination of nature and humanity made me question how it would look if I was to portray humanity in porcelain as fragile and as broken. It also made me wonder how we could repair our broken humanity. And this made me think of kintsugi. Kintsugi is a Japanese repair technique. It's also referred to as golden repair. And it really celebrates imperfection and mending. So if something is broken, instead of throwing it away, you actually put it back together. And instead of trying to erase and disguise what was once broken, you highlight it and paint it with golden paint. So to me, this is almost a philosophy. And considering the state of humanity today, I think it's very beautiful. And I think we could learn a lot from this, both in our ways of perceiving ourselves and one another. So this is really the foundation for Human Nature and what we did for WAC Factory and called Minimum Viable Human Nature. So I made some pieces that are really a portrait of humanity in porcelain, broken yet repaired and beautiful, and very much inspired by the connection between nature and humanity and Flora Danica. So Human Nature will also become an interactive, personalized experience where you face your human nature. The first part of this experience will be you seeing an old mirror, very much referencing the Royal Danish Collection and some of all these beautiful, crazy frames they have on their mirrors. But instead of a real mirror, it will be a screen. And at the top of this mirror frame, you'll have a camera which will capture you. Here we've done a test, and this piece is just a work in progress. This is not the final, but we've been experimenting with how we can engage the visitor with this experience with human nature, Flor Danica and Kintsugi. Really merging layers, and yeah, so this is early days, but it's work in progress. The visitor or the user experience will be that first you face the camera to face your human nature. And this is just an illustration of the user journey. This is not how it will look in the end. Secondly, you scan a QR code and you follow the guidelines to open a wallet. And thirdly, you collect your personalized digital artwork as an NFT. So all of this is also very much about impact and how we can create transformation, how we can use art, Web3, blockchain, and collaboration, as we do here in WAC Factory, to create meaningful transformation. And I really believe that art is at the very heart of all this. The way this will happen with human nature is that I'll produce some unique human nature artworks. They will be inspired by the interactive experience once it's done, and the porcelain sculptures. These artworks will then be auctioned to support impact and transformation organizations such as mental health charities. So this is really a call to action for more global partners and museums and people who feel aligned with this mission to join human nature. I'm Martine Jalgaard, and these are my contact details. And yeah, thank you for your time.
Really beautiful. Thank you, Martin. A question I'm wondering about is how do you see the role of blockchain in the fragile human nature? Is it an agent for healing, or is it an agent for breaking further?
Yeah, that's a very good question. It depends on how you use it. And there's a whole extra layer to the blockchain experience that I haven't actually shared here, because it would go far, far beyond the time that we have. But I think when we're really talking about impact and using art to create transformation and immersive experiences, I'm really interested in creating a sense of agency. So you as a visitor or as a user, that you will really feel that you're part of the artwork, which you will become in human nature. But also we're really talking about creating these dynamics that you as a visitor, you will actually be a stakeholder in the artwork, and you'll actually gain royalties, both from the auction and from resales. Because I think we need to really reconsider how we are seeing the audience and creating a new way of engaging with the art pieces and the museums and just in general with this whole mission to create a positive transformation really in support of the UN global goals.
Thank you. And I'm surprised that we have very few questions in the Q&A now, but there is one more. Will the generated NFTs be part of the on-site exhibition at all?
Yeah, they will be. I mean, we think they will be, but it really depends on how well we can control the generated pieces. So we've been working on that. So far, like, we're really focusing on the interactive experiences, but it's to be confirmed, because like we've been running a lot of tests, and we've also been working with AI, and you know, maybe it's around 5% of what we're generating that is actually something which I consider useful. So it's like when it comes to quality and curation, that's the fine line and the balance that you're really operating with. So it's to be confirmed.
Thank you. And have you considered collaborating with the museum for the UN Live? Because
yes, very much. Yeah, they're on top of the list to speak with.
Thank you. Let's give it a few more seconds to see whether there are other questions. But if not, then we are going to move on to the next team. Okay, so Johanna, then please share your screen. As masters of virtual reality, Johanna and her team were excited to try to merge it with blockchain. They explored different options, and one of them will be presented this summer in Munich. Johanna, the stage is yours.
Hello, welcome. You see everything? So
We see here.
Okay, fine. I have to turn my head, but it's not a problem. So welcome again. It is an honor to us to be part of the WAC program, WAC Factory program. My name is Johanna Deffler. I work for the XR Hub Bavaria as scenographer and event and communication manager. So the XR Hub Bavaria is not a museum. It's an institution who wants to make Bavaria visible as a strong XR location. XR in the title of XR Hub stands for extended reality and includes virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, spatial computing, and metaverse. Also, parts of Web3 belong to our field of work. We want to inspire XR professionals, support and connect the XR community, and enable XR experience through that. Museums are part of our community too. For WAC Factory, our project is called Colmira, Collaborative Mixed Reality Art. With Colmira, we want to combine XR and Web3, explore something new, co-creating art in mixed reality, connect museums and artists. At Festival of the Future, located in Deutsches Museum in Munich, 2 groups of artists will be painting live 3D in mixed reality in front of the visitors. Visitors then will be invited to collect a 2D extract of the jointly painted 3D objects as an NFT. On site, mediators will guide visitors in open their wallet. The mediators will also educate the visitors on MR painting and blockchain technology. This is our technical Web 3.0 partner, the platform Object. We will have an own Colmira collection there with the minted works to be found there. And we use the tool called the Freehand from Dutch studio Vrij. Freehand enables artists to work together in mixed reality. They create virtual 3D artworks together. There is no controller as an interface. They just need to use their hands. Our artists have already been working together in groups for other projects. For example, for the project Current, the internationally known artists Anne Wichmann, She's Excited, Anke Schiemann and Peter Graf, P, have created an AR sound app with underwater worlds, the 3 on the left side. Eva Schnitzer and Britta Eriskat have also known each other for a long time and worked together with mixed media, the 2 on the right hand. For Colmira, they all explore a new medium, a new tool in mixed reality. Our project will happen on 28th of June during the Festival of the Future. The festival combines technical innovations, arts and science in a conference and in a big exhibition throughout the museum. Visitors will find lots of hands-on experiences, and our minting project fits well into this program. After having put the art pieces onto the platform Object, the XR Hub will mint the screenshots live as souvenirs for the audience. The festival audience can observe the process of minting the souvenir pictures. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, WAC Factory team and Object, for your active support. Come to the Festival of the Future or contact us. Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. Questions from the Q&A loading, but I have one, of course. So what were the core challenges that you faced in developing this vision?
Yes, I didn't mention at first we had another content which was not possible to do because of right questions. It's very interesting and I'm looking forward to this. But the one before had the idea to use an app which is ready, and we did not reach the persons, and we had another institution which was fitting well in our eyes. But when they was talking about, they said, oh, we don't know really what is NFT, and it's a little bit, yes, there's a price and so on. And so we had to change. It was a developing. And this was challenging to say, oh, okay, we have the idea to make something, and how to evolve it and stay with us, with our idea.
And what do you plan to do with the digital artworks that are created during the exhibition?
Afterwards?
What do you plan to do with the digital artwork that is created during the exhibition?
Yeah, the digital artwork will be data. I think it will be just in the end it's 3D, and you have it and you can store it, and then we can discuss. Maybe one idea is to make an exhibition. This would be nice, and maybe it's my idea. Maybe Silke will jump in. She's here.
Yeah. So
maybe to have an exhibition with you can go in with VR and have a look at it.
Yeah, so it's our first prototype now, and if it works out well, this is the way we are going to go forward, because we have a number of different virtual spaces, and of course it would be nice to exhibit 3D artworks in these spaces, and so we want to create our own sort of virtual museum.
And maybe to collaborate with museums which are in discussion with us in every case, or show them how to use it, maybe, or offer our rooms, our spaces.
Thank you. We are running a bit short on time, so the last question I will put in the chat for you. And now let's move on to the next team. Jess, please share your screen. So tuning from the early morning in Vancouver, Jess and the team of 2021A have been exploring the future of collective ownership of services and community building. Their future-infused vision will inspire many, I'm sure of that. Jess, the stage is yours.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And I'd also just like to shout out to my colleague Tao Fei, who worked predominantly on this project with WAC and technology partner Nimi, but she's en route for Montreal this morning, so bon voyage to her and presenting. It's early here, it's almost 9 o'clock in the morning, so it's been nice listening to you as I did my usual morning yoga and breakfast, and tuned into all of your great projects. So lovely to hear about everything and meet you all. So I'm calling in this morning from Vancouver on the west coast of Canada. That's why we're so early on the same time zone as LA and Seattle. And Vancouver is also the unceded and traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. So at 221A, we take that history very seriously. And 221A recognizes that the colony of British Columbia was created through organized dispossession, colonial violence. So we seek to shift our organizational practices to work with Indigenous people to end ongoing violence, dispossession, and displacement. And so we're a very big supporter of UNDRIP, the United Nations Declarations for the Rights of Indigenous People. At 221A, so we're not quite your typical organization. We're not a presenting organization like many, or like a heritage organization like many of the presenters today. We're a relatively young organization. We've been around since 2007. formed as a student collective as early as about 2005. And I've been with the organization for about 8 years, since 2015. My background is as a curator, organizational kind of director, those sorts of things. And it's been great developing 221A from its early days into what it is now, which is a network of about 9 properties across the city of Vancouver, so about 15,000 square meters of cultural use space. And what we do is we support artists through studios, through housing, low-income housing, low market access to studios. We have a research library. We have a fellowship program that supports artists over long-term periods for research and development. And we also have a garden and public park called the House Shui, which is a garden of indigenous plants to the Pacific Northwest coast, developed by a ethnobotanist and artist, Twitstonats C. Swice. So we do a lot of things. So really our mission is to work with artists and designers to research and develop social, cultural, and ecological infrastructure. And our vision is for a pluralistic society in which all people have the means to make and access culture. That's our wonderful team, just as at our newest building opening last week. So it's a large team of staff, board, and fellows constantly working together services. And I will give a shout out to a project that's coming out of us called the Cultural Land Trust. That is kind of a maturation of our organizational model, where we're looking at taking this portfolio of properties and turning it into a public trust for the long term to secure space in the city, because that's a very big challenge here, because Vancouver has the property values of Silicon Valley, Palo Alto area in California, but we have the income of a city like Columbus, Ohio. So that means life here is pretty tough for people who have an income earned within the city, and that's most artists and cultural workers and creators, we're finding. So we predominantly serve kind of a low income constituency as we see it. So we're very big in kind of providing services and support networks because, oh, that's our newest building in downtown Vancouver. So come visit us if you're here. Couple of maybe historical roots just to orient you to what's going on here is we draw from like an artist-run center network, which is a very important network of self-determined, self-organized, or kind of autogestion in the tradition of Henri Lefebvre, of artists self-organizing, managing themselves, managing their own resources, their own communications, and their own publics at the same time. So that's very parallel to what's going on right now in Web3. And so we saw a direct link to that. Some of Canada's earliest artist-run centers go back to the 1960s and 70s. So we're looking actually at some of the archives of these early institutions for the ways that they pioneered kind of decentralized culture through postal networks, sharing videotapes, zines, postcards, these sorts of things. So these are all precursors to decentralized networks that we're looking at how these traditions could be encoded now kind of in the contemporary landscape. And another root of 221A is Chinese benevolent societies, because 221A's founders, Brian McVeigh and Michelle Fu, among many, are Chinese Canadian. And they have family heritage ties to Chinatown in Vancouver. And Chinese benevolent societies were very important in establishing how we understand Chinatowns today in North America. They were created as nonprofit societies that allowed the Chinese community to create safer cities within cities in the early parts of the 20th century, and enabled communities to develop wealth and stability and persist with their culture. So they're some of our earliest landlords, and we still work with them, and we're imagining now how we can help Chinese benevolent societies redevelop their properties that we're also kind of tenants of, where artists live alongside low-income Chinese seniors, and kind of cultural programs in language schools and those sorts of things. So intangible cultural heritage, I would say, is a big part of what 221A does, and we try to find ways to support communities to continue to persist with that intangible cultural heritage as the contemporary landscape shifts and changes. And from my own background, you know, I studied in Europe in the 2000s, 2010s, and worked there. So new institutionalism is a big tradition of mine, and it's something that I studied academically and participated And that was something that happened in Northern Europe and England, where we really saw institutions as ways to imagine the future, build a future, and that's how you got institutions like the Palais de Tokyo from Nicolas Bourriaud, or curators like Charles Esch, Nina Montman, or some, just to name a few. But things shifted, in the 2010s as finance came into the art world. And so I'm reminded of that new institutionalism, actually reading this review that recently came out by Nicolas Bourriaud on the most recent Venice Biennial, where he says, "Foreigners everywhere" does deliver a statement that contemporary art has become a global but compartmentalized safe space designed to preserve the world as it was, rather than inventing for what it might become. And so I think that's also a very big tradition and why we've been interested in blockchain for several years now. So going back to 2018, we've been supported by the Canada Council for the Arts to look at blockchain tech for the cultural sector. And so in early days, we were looking at that as blockchain as a way to kind of think about some intractable problems in our culture, so cultural padlocks perhaps. And so through that, we came to a digital strategy that was leading us towards a digitally cooperative culture in the purpose of recommoning land, data, and objects. And so where we're at now today with that project is something called the Node Library. And so we're developing a new infrastructure for the sector that's going to allow you to grow into this space and support you in this space at a technical, infrastructural, educational, and kind of resource level. And so the overall gist of it is that we're going to be operating distributed web and Web3 infrastructure, blockchain nodes, decentralized storage, decentralized render, decentralized Wi-Fi. And this is what's known as the decentralized physical infrastructure network. And that's what's going to support a lot of what we're imagining Web3 being built upon. And so we're going to be servicing developer communities, public good communities, and artists and creator communities through that infrastructure. We'll have a shared treasury that will also be supported by government grants, foundation grants, and earned revenues. There'll be a governance there with institutional and academic partners, a digital community, and us at 221A. And then we have some public outputs there. We have collections. We're seeing a preservation collection and a public collection, so lending utility tokens, conserving important artworks and moments in blockchain and distributed web history. We'll be developing products and prototyping, new protocols. We have community grants for building protocols and public goods, but also for storytelling and editorial work. And we're doing sectoral advocacy and education, public programs, research, publications. That will kind of help feed into the regulatory landscape. So we're imagining a whole infrastructure here to support everything that everybody is planning. So please get in touch with us if you're curious about this stuff. But what I'll talk about, what we did with you guys at WAC Lab and with Nini was look at a token membership for this digital infrastructure. And so really, we're just kind of, we worked and we're mapping some things out. I can't say we're totally there yet, ready to launch something because of the way of how sprawling and entangled this project is into our overall operations. There's some things shifting politically around resources in Canada, around the digital that we have to be cognizant about. And we're working very hard right now to connect how what we're doing is going to support the back end for AI in pursuit of supporting that public policy that's being developed kind of at the federal and the provincial levels as well. So we're seeing this as an infrastructure that can support data trusts, that can ensure a copyrighted kind of collective agreements for artists, that can build copyrighted and attributed models in AI and that sort of stuff. So it's still kind of a very exciting and sprawling landscape that we're in. But what we did with Nini was kind of look at 2 tiers right now for a membership and that sort of thing. So a general public tier, something that would just be like a library card. Anybody could grab it, that'd be fine. It'd be a free mint and that sort of thing. And that would just be minted through our website and through an NFT marketplace. So an example of that could be Zora or something like that. And then once you mint that token, it's a free mint. And then, we are working with Web3 people. This is a specific space. And eventually down the line, we will see ways to tie this into kind of legacy members and participants of 221A. But for now, we still think the technology is a little bit, there's some barriers there. And so we're not pushing that so much. And so what we're doing is we're developing that digital membership so that down the road, we can start to merge things as the pathways become easier to take, I'd say. So we're looking, at that membership going to a self-custodial wallet. And then we do have some things in Canada where we're looking also with when you're minting things, there might be KYC requirements. So that is just a requirement of our kind of tax regulation in Canada. So that's voluntary, and all we have to do is ask for that as kind of our due diligence is kind of what we're learning. And so that kind of information could also be helpful and kind of can feed into your organizational CRM. And so what that token would also give you access to would be token gated content, communications. It could be voting, it could be on community grants, that sort of stuff. But what we're also looking at is a token lending collection. So that token would give you access to lend other tokens. It could give you access to other services on the web, like a library card might give you access to magazine subscriptions or something like that. But we can go to questions now, if there's anything there, and I can help justify.
So, yeah, I had one thing in my mind. What are the focus audiences of the Node library, and how do you intend to benefit them?
Yeah, the intended audiences, for sure. I can answer that with a little diagram. So we are kind of envisioning ourselves at the center of distributed web infrastructure and education, advocacy and applied research, Web3 cultural work, and then the art world. So we're seeing our utility as kind of being the bridge between all of those spaces, and anybody who's curious to connect to those spaces from other spaces, let us know and we can help you with those pathways.
Nice, thank you. Well, we will have time in the networking session if there is more questions. I would like to quickly share my screen here and give the last words. I would like also to talk about season 4 because what you have been developing, all of you, is really mind-blowing and exceeding our expectations. Truly. We were not expecting to do so much in 4 weeks, so congrats to everyone. I just would like to give you some main dates for WAC season 4. So we will open the season as usual in October with our weekly program in the autumn, and then we will open the call for application for WAC Museums, our training program, right after. So stay tuned because this is not the end, it's still going on. And I also would like to announce a major news. We have been listening to your request. A lot of you actually asked to have access to the educational training that we set up, which is currently only upon application and only for cultural institutions professional. But now, actually, on June 17, we will opening up to everyone. So you will have access to on-demand online courses, and you will be able to have to enjoy them at your own pace, from where you want and when you want. So it won't be restricted to our timeline. You will be able to understand the foundations of blockchain, culture, and technology, how blockchain, AI, and the metaverse can be used by cultural institutions and the art and culture. But you will also be able to have access to courses around the ethical, legal, and environmental consideration coming with blockchain technology. I also would like to thank you. Huge thank you to the team of the Tezos Foundation, as well as Tech, and especially Valerie Whitaker. She has been key in the development of this season from the start. Huge thank you to our dear tech partners. You supported this season, and that's thanks to you and the curiosity and passion of the cultural institutions that we could make this demo day happening today. So thank you to FXH, Artifact Labs, Broken Egg, Nimi, Danae, Object.com, and Keru. Thank you to my dear team. Thank you to Maxime, our operation lead, to Fanny, our education lead, to Daniela. Without her, our dear blockchain expert, this project today would have not existed. So thank you, Daniela, for everything that you've done for these 4 weeks. Thank you to Kitty, our dear online facilitator, to Victor, our video editor, to Maria Clara and Ivan, our copywriters, and to Ian, our live event angel. Thanks to him, we could make it very smoothly today. It's such a joy to work with you also. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone from the cultural institutions. You were bold enough and curious enough to jump with us. So it's really wonderful. I just would like to show you actually the proof of attendance that you can receive if you fill up the form, which has been shared in the chat. Benefits will be added the more you collect these tokens. So if you were with us last year, you might also receive something. So yeah, don't forget to fill up this form. I also would like to invite you to join our breakout rooms. You will see a pop-up window inviting you to join a room randomly. We have a beautiful group of people today with us. So yeah, so don't be shy. People are waiting to connect. Thank you so much, everyone, again. I hope to see you soon online. We are also organizing this conference in Basel on the 12th of June with the Digital Art Mile. So if you want to join us in Switzerland and meet in reality, let's meet there. Thank you so much, everyone. And I wish you a really good networking time.